Your show will go live in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh Polly, it's for your sake alone. I left my dear old father, my country and my home. I left my dear old mother to weep and to mourn. I am a rebel soldier and far from my home. It's grape shot and musket and the cannon lumber loud. There's many a mangled body, the blanket for their shroud. There's many a mangled body left on the fields alone. I am a rebel soldier and far from my home.
Okay, thanks so much for joining us here in the broadcast. I'm your host, James White. This is Northwest Liberty News, and it is the 16th day of October, 2020, and we're just now getting here locked in time. Everything's happening just like last minute here today, one of those days, but we're here nonetheless, and we're going to continue to charge forward because evil never sleeps, that's for sure. So we appreciate you joining us here in the broadcast. If everything's working properly, we should be simulcasting on multiple different networks, too many to list, but we certainly do appreciate you tuning into each and every one you can. And thanks so much for supporting this independent news program. We just want to, first of all, before we get in with our guests today, we just want to, our hearts go out to all those great YouTube channels. Some of those people are personal friends of mine that have their channels taken down in a mass purge yesterday. At this point here, I'm still, of course, still broadcasting on YouTube, and I hope that continues because I have a passion to get the word out. But, I think we could all be on borrowed time here. I think it's just a matter of time. But nonetheless, truth will prevail. Truth will prevail, and it's in no small part to guests like we have on the show today, and I'm delighted to have returning with me on the show today, Mary Flynn-O'Neil and her daughter, Kristen Hall. Now, we try to get this whole thing worked out with the Zoom. Had it working before, but so it's going to alternate between the two when they speak. So there's going to be this little flash in between the two images, but that's okay. We're just delighted to have them here, and first of all, I just want to get, again, like I said before, my hat's off to the courage of you, Mary, and your entire family, of certainly your brother, General Flynn, who has been just run through the ringer. I mean, that doesn't even come close to describing the atrocities, war crimes, basically, that have been committed against them. And it's just, our heart goes out to him and your family. Pardon? Yep. Yeah, they're still waiting. So we want to, Mary, we want to welcome you to the show and thank you for being here. And we also want to welcome for the first time Kristen Hall on the broadcast. And as Kristen speaks, her name will flash on her face will flash on the screen. Ladies, we so much appreciate having you both here on the broadcast with us today. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, Mary, let's start with you, and then we'll go over to Kristen. Mary, you talked when you were on the broadcast here last time. You talked about the situation that you had, and the title of the program has the Flynn family been a target for years? Now, years ago, as we talked, there was an issue with CPS and with your family. Now, as you know, on this program, I've literally interviewed hundreds of parents probably, and now at this point, and spoken to probably hundreds more about CPS and about some of the things that go on with CPS. And although we do know, and I know you like me, have a passion for children and make sure they're safe. We do know there's situations where children are in harm. There needs to be some intervention because some parents don't really care and they would cause harm to their children. We understand this. We want every one of those children protected, but that's not really what we're talking about here. We're talking about the children that still come from good families that get taken for profit or for other motivations other than keeping the family and the children safe. Mary Flynn-O'Neil, I'm going to turn it over to you if you could just give a quick recap of what you talked about last time, and then we'll go over to Kristen, who actually was probably is intimately involved or more than you are in the situation. So Mary Flynn, again, we want to thank you both for being here. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yes, so because I'm a mother that really was a single mom too, cares about my children, the support comes from somebody. Somebody's got to be there to be with your children. Whoever it is has got to be there. So my support was making sure that my daughter, with these two little babies, were safe from a man who was abusive, and so the target of the Flynns. Let's do that. The target of the Flynns was being in a small town, and their father was an informant, ended up being an informant, a drug informant. He was a drug informant. So the connection is that my daughter was targeted by the same generational men, as because her husband, ex-husband, was a informant. They made him an informant as well. This is a big thing that they did in this town. This was their way of glory, getting their glory and getting, a big name and getting credit and all that. So I left off where the divorce was finalized. He was able to have a visit on the weekend. The grandmother was the supervisor, and then all hell broke loose because he called CPS. He called we call it DCYF, right, Kristen? The DCYF on my daughter and made a complaint about her that was a ridiculous complaint. And then she had to go get her children from that home in a very hardcore way. And then when she got them, she ran, because then the DCYF started to get in contact. And this is so I left off when we were finally on the run with the babies, and then we were told to go to a police station, which is right off the island, and that they were going to settle this, fix this. The DCYF woman was there, and then they took the babies in the night. So that's where I left off with that,
So we're going to bring Kristen. We're going to bring you on if you can. If you could, Kristen, recount. As I stated, your mom has kind of did a background on it, and sort of laid the foundation. If you, first of all, Kristen, welcome to the show. We so much appreciate you taking time out of your day to be here. And if you could pick up there and tell us, if you can, from your perspective, the situation that you had that your mom's talking about with CPS years back.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. God bless everybody. And yeah, this was a terrible, horrendous situation. Something I was just thinking about when Mom started talking about it is that one of the things that triggered him, along with the fake phone calls to, CPS, we call DCYF here, there was he went on to Facebook.com at the time, and he did his own fake Amber Alert, which was absolute nonsense. I mean, literally, people thought it was real. It had the stars and the fake Amber, the whole nine. And so the police, obviously took that and ran, but it wasn't, they knew it. They should have seen the mental illness and all the problems right in front of them. But because they were already wrapped up so tightly with this crap he was doing and all that stuff, it was really sad because they treated it way terribly, and every time I would have interaction with that department, like CPS there where you guys are, and here DCF, they would always have me as the mother, and I'm not. They knew I was not a harmful person. I just wanted them to be back with us. The DCF woman, Shelly, she would always have me be the one to put them back in the vehicle or take them from my arms. And it was just, the woman that my mom spoke of, the Jamaican woman that had the children, she actually had tears in her eyes one of the days going down her face when I was put them back in the car and actually wait till they drive off, because I'm a mom and I'm going to see them every second until, you almost want to get in your car and follow, but you don't want to cause problems. It's like,
no, I just can't even imagine it. Can't even imagine it. Yeah. We've had situations. I've had people here on the program before, Kristen, that after they have lost their custody hearing, they've been sitting outside devastated. The CPS worker to come out and say, "They're ours now. They're ours now. Yes. We got them." I'm not joking. I'm not joking when I say that. Mary, do you have a comment?
Oh yes, that's exactly how it was. And those DCYF people were as arrogant as any enemy you have ever seen. It's thick.
So so Kristen, now we talked before about them coming after you, or you being on the run.
Yes.
They get pretty aggressive. They can be pretty
Oh,
aggressive,
yes.
and they will come either to the school and take the children when you're not there. I mean, there's
Mhm.
school teachers
Yeah.
involved in this. There's doctors involved in this. There's nurses. I mean, when you get involved in a ring, yeah, I mean, people that you run in contact with every day are involved in this sometimes. Not everybody, but sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like every time you turn around, you're with somebody else in their group, right? And you can't win. So they were after you. Tell us about that. I mean, that had to be a harrowing experience. I can't even imagine.
Yes, I was always having to move around. When the fake Amber Alert happened, I was kind of put into like a survival mode. And when my mom says I ran, I went to my boss's house at the time, and she lived on a street that had the border right there. It just so happened that she was technically still in Rhode Island, but it was right there with Mass. And it was, for me, just safe because I just knew what he was capable of. And it was always, I was constantly having to move around and be in different places so he couldn't find us and all this stuff. And I would look out my window and be totally like, no one knows where I am except for maybe my mother, you know? And I would see a Middletown police officer staring back across the street in like a yard, like a fields or something, like kind of hidden, but not, like staring directly into where I am with my children. Mortified, shocking. I couldn't trust friends, which I wouldn't call friends, you know, but you don't know. I couldn't trust any person that came around me. It was just due to the children. And I'll explain something sort of later as well, like when we get to, you know, the most recent stuff that happened New Year's Eve this past, you know, 2020 or 2019 technically, and that kind of goes with
Yeah. I didn't know. I
yeah.
didn't know about that. That's news. I didn't know. I thought that you had all this kind of taken care of, and I thought that you got your children back and everything. So please, but do tell what happened here last New Year's Eve.
Something quick. Can I just say something real quick?
Sure, of course.
Let me just briefly say something about this. So after that happened, we were in the court system. We were wrapped up in the court system. It was a custody fight, okay? It was a custody fight. DCYF was all for the father. They had anything that we did wrong. So this went on for years, and we finally got to a point where we were able to have joint custody, and he got placement, and we decided we're going to stay quiet and we're going to do exactly what we're going to do, because this guy is never going to follow through. And we knew he was mentally ill. We knew he had drug problems. We knew all kinds of stuff. So that's where we ended up. Okay. So we were all getting along, trying to get along and all this kind of stuff. And then, you know, so that's where we're starting. And then I want Kristen to, that's all I need to say.
Yeah, Kristen, tell us here. This is. I didn't realize that things are still going on that as recent as not even a year ago. You know, and again, you know, we realize, of course, the Flynn family. It seems we know that Michael Flynn, General Michael Flynn, is being targeted. I mean, this is obvious. I mean, there's no secret about that any longer. You wonder, is that tied into? I didn't realize, as I said, Kristen, that this has happened here just last year. Do you think any of this has anything to do with just them generally not liking the Flynns? I mean, it's apparent to me they don't. Kristen, go ahead, Mary. You want to comment on that first?
Yeah, she's got a little issue with the video.
Okay.
So yeah, the issue with this went on for years. I mean, family court is no cheap thing either. This guy was relentless. And remember, they gave him all this stuff, the resources. They gave him all the wealth, all the food. You gotta take your mute button off. She's got to take her mute button off.
Mary, would you move just a little bit? Would you move a little bit closer, just a little bit closer to the camera, that we can get the volume? Thanks.
Father got all the resources. He was able to collect all the welfare, all the money. Okay, so that was the whole thing with those, and the grandmother was a big issue with that. So the resources that came from CPS, from DCYF, was all the state money, all the welfare. They got all the money for the kids, and that's the drive that we discovered happened. Okay, and so therefore, that was what we were dealing with. We were dealing with the money, and the reason they wanted the kids was because of that welfare. That's what the bottom line was.
Kristen, do you have your thing working back again yet, dear? You may have your mute button on. Let me see if I can, if that's the case here. See if I can let me see if I can prompt you to turn your mute button on. I don't know. Let's see here. Oh, she's not in on the line anymore. She seems to have dropped off the line. She's not on the
What happened? Did she get back in or
not yet? Nope. But
okay.
she can just sign back on again, and she can come back in, no problem at all. She will be ready for her when she does.
Okay.
Did you want to, in the meantime, did you want to discuss at all what was going on with New Year's Eve, or do you want me to give
Yes,
Oh wait, hold on. Here she comes. She's back now. Hold on. There we go. Let's
this is a big part of this story.
Kristen, are you back with us?
Yay.
Is she back?
Yeah, sorry about that. My headphones connected and they were just going nuts. So thank you.
No, you're welcome. Not a problem at all. Not a problem at all. Okay, so there we go. We got you back. Now let's go back to the speaker view because it's not there. Okay. Kristen, thanks. Welcome back. Welcome back. Mary, are you locked up now, Mary?
Yeah, you go right ahead.
Oh, there you go. Okay, Kristen, if you could go ahead and start, if you can, as I was bringing up as the lead into this, we know that they're after the Flynn family, it seems, and I say they, black cats, deep state, whatever you want to call them. And I think some people that, you're a black cat. If you're kidnapping kids with CPS, you're a black cat. You're not a white hat, that's for sure. Kristen, do you think this had anything to do? And please first of all, tell us about I didn't know there was an event New Year's Eve last year. Tell us about that and tell us your view if you think that's all kind of tied into kind of the vendetta they seem to have against your family. Over to you.
To right before I'll bring up something real briefly because it's totally relevant to what we're talking about being targeted and all that. And right before the fire, maybe the following or the previous, rather, 6 to 8 months at least, really longer, but really intense. Those months were, and for a while too, it was very scary, there was a day where I went for a walk and I went to get back into my apartment with my keys and everything. And I opened my door and there was a picture of Hillary Clinton's, in a frame, Hillary Clinton, with a sunrise behind her, like this Chinese sort of sunrise. And she's like a dictator with her head up in a frame, really expensive type thing. Someone, did this. And I'm like, I dropped. I'm like, what? This is post the fake Amber Alert, everything that I've been through, all these, and fighting for other children and other families as well. And it was just what, and that was really scary. I mean, I've had firecrackers, that's just, we, like Mom said, we have lots of friends and we know kind of these things that have gone on and want to fix it. And people don't like that, So, but then leading up to this New Year's Eve, it was a regular, whatever that means, New Year's Eve morning. I was just, doing things and bringing a friend and whatever. I've stopped at CVS to grab stuff for the twins, and they were over at my ex-husband's house. Now no one calls me, not even him. The phone rings and I don't recognize the number. I'm, hello, no, don't hear anything. Finally, I'm standing in CVS, the third call, and it's a friend in the neighbors, Kristen, I'm like, yes. She's like, it's Amanda, my, your Teddy's house is on fire. It burned down. That's how she said it to me. I'm like, what? Freaking out. And I said, what is going on? And I said, what happened? Tell me what happened. They said, Trinity's in an ambulance and your son, Kingston, is there, whatever it is, and Teddy went a different way. They said to go to the hospital. I could not believe it. My daughter was first, second, and third degree burns all over the place. She's had skin grafts and
good Lord,
now laser surgery. Yes, I mean, no person ever should have to go through this, let alone a child.
Oh,
and
geez.
And then at the hands of this mental illness and the system failing, and it has been nonstop. And it's no parent should have to deal with that, and no child. But it's so sad, when it could have been prevented. They didn't have to be at that house and all that. Then after the fire, my daughter started to like unbrainwash and sort of unlearn, you know, like not being around her father, which was great, because she got to tell me things that she was probably very scared to say to me before, which I've never encouraged her to do. You know, I've always told her to talk to me about everything. But
she sort of got deprogrammed.
So
she got deprogrammed,
yes,
in a sense.
Yes.
Right.
Absolutely. And when she felt more comfortable to open up, yes, big time. And so she did. And we were at the beach one day skipping rocks, and she sort of just says, Mom, did you know? Oh, not did you know? I'm sorry. Mom, Dad was going to pack me up and take me to Kingston, Canada, or Indiana, about a year before the fire. And I said, what? It was the last thing I thought would come out of, you know, packed up and everything, like was going to throw them in the car. I said, Trinity, why did you not mad at her? Why did you not talk to Mommy about this? You know, that's really important stuff. That's what I've always taught you. And she said, well, I just knew you would never let him take me. I said, that's not enough though, baby. Like, thank you for telling me that's not enough. Like, you know, that's really scary. So his thought process has been, he's always out to hurt me or the children, because he knows my love for them and my, you know, and my family. And after the fire, he was recording himself 24/7, and he made some comments. This is why I know, another reason why I know it has to do with everything with my, you know, my uncle and my family and everything. He's recording the first time my daughter walked again for the first time. The bottom of her feet were gone, like totally gone, as well as her back and all these different places.
God, that's just horrific.
Yeah, and she has a walker. And she's, like, she looks like she has like almost, I don't know, like a broken.
And how old? How old? Like, what age?
She'll be 12. She'll be 12. They'll both be 12 on Christmas morning.
Oh, that is just and that age right there is, I mean, that's just, not that any age is good, but
it's,
I mean.
Incredible. I know, it's the truth. She's sort of, so this is the first time she's walking again. And I'm thinking that, I don't care what he's thinking really, because it's gone. He's gone. But I'm thinking that, and I'm just trying to appease the court, because they don't know, they didn't understand what was happening. It was instantly right after it. And I was always there with her, you know, and we never went inside anywhere or whatever. So I just would have him see her sort of. And I was still trying to just get a temperature on his, you know, whatever, just to know what was happening. And he puts it on, and I think he's recording her just to see her walking for the first time. He's actually has her on Facebook Live. And she catches him and grabs the phone from, grabs the phone from him, and she's looking at it and she's like, why are you're on Facebook Live with this, you know? And he grabs the phone, doesn't turn it off, and puts it back in his pocket. And he's rambling on about, you know, how much he loves my uncle, Mike Flynn, the General Flynn, and he'll do anything to help him and all this. And I'm like, whoa, I don't need you to say anything about my uncle. My uncle is all set. He is a great, great man.
Right.
Everyone knows, you know, like my people around town, whatever it is, have your opinions. I don't care what, not around town or anywhere. He's amazing. And he's the most righteous, honest person. And this is God's work and all that. But don't talk.
He's an American hero. He's an American. He's a literal walking hero. Anyway.
Yes, right. And for a man who went AWOL, I found out, you know, my ex-husband and all that, don't bring it out of your lips, because I don't want to hear it, you know. Then a few weeks later, or a week or so later, it was another supervised visit at an IHOP, which obviously I didn't want to do, but I you know, whatever, you know, I wanted to see what their children were going to be exposed to, even at a supervised thing. So I'm sitting there and he starts to talk to my uncle again, and this time it's all spewing hate. You know, he's like, oh, you know, it's really weird. He's saying all this stuff, and I'm just mortified, really, that to be sitting in a restaurant this close and all that, because he's talking about all kinds of other nonsense too. And it's very sad. I don't even know why he would think he's relevant, you know, but it's just sad what mental illness does, you know. He does not understand reality. And most of these people do not, that are abusive like this, you know.
No, mental illness is not a good thing. You know, I was hoping to do, it's a bad thing, and it's a lot of people suffer from it, sadly, and they have control of children, and they do children harm. Now, we have the capabilities here. I was talking to Mary earlier about opening up the phone lines. I'd like to be able to do that. If you'd be open to that, I'd like to give out the phone number here, have people call in. And certainly, folks, the topic today is, you know, as you had stated, your uncle is beloved, I'm sure, by many of my listeners. I'm sure those questions will probably come up. But the topic here really is. Can I
just wrap one more thing?
Sure, Mary, of course. Go right ahead.
Let me clarify something.
Please.
When the fire happened, we had just finished Christmas with my other two grandchildren. Prior to the fire, his mental illness, he was having a huge problem with his mental illness. He's bipolar and everything else. I don't know, he's all kinds, but he was having a very serious problem. So it was leading up to this. His thing on Facebook was he was gonna kill everybody he loves. These were on social medias. And so he set the fire. We found out he set the fire with the little girl in the room and Kingston in the mother's house, which is connected. So what I want to say is that right after the fire, a week after the fire, he came to my church, my office, which I'm down at St. Mary's, down my office. And in the middle of a mass, he ran up and threatened my life to the priest,
right,
to this in front
on Facebook Live.
So what we did was I had to go have him arrested. That's how we went back to family court and got custody of the children now, because that's how that all came out. Threatening my brother. So that's how that happened.
That sounds like, honestly, that sounds like a real legitimate mental illness to come in there and threaten you. And were you saying, Kristen, that he was doing all that on Facebook Live? He was threatening you on Facebook Live? Who does that has their faculties? Anybody that has their faculties intact don't do things like that.
Never. It was absolutely horrendous. We were very lucky that my mother has, she does a Wednesday night thing with the children.
Sure.
And she was, with them Thursday morning. So it was like, oh my goodness, absolutely horrible. Everyone was so scared. Father Chris had to shut mass down and keep everybody in there and get him out. They all thought maybe he would have a gun. It's really scary. It's the church,
Yeah.
People are,
yeah, no kidding.
Anyways, that's what we're up against, with the churches. Right. People can come in now and, we're afraid of people, shooting priests and shooting everybody in the congregation. So we had procedure in place.
Well, when you see, not the fearmonger, but when you see them walking up to police cars and shooting police that are sitting in their cars, like having a sandwich or something. Yeah. There's nothing off the table at that point, right?
At that point, we were just piecing together this fire thing. We knew he did it, but we were piecing it together with the kids telling us. Now the kids are starting to come out of it and tell us what happened. And we're now so there's an investigation going on. Now, still this investigation is being kind of covered up. So we're still in the midst of all this nonsense and we're going to get to the bottom of it. But he's still trying to get the kids from us. Just know that. So,
Lord, good Lord, please God, no. No.
That's right.
Folks, we're going to open up the phone lines here. If you want to call in and ask a question to Mary or Kristen or both of them or me, your humble correspondent, you can call 563-999-3617. That's 563-999-3617. Call in if you have a question for Mary or Kristen. Now, before as the call number goes out, and we should have people calling in. Usually people do call in, but we'll see. If you can, Mary, tell us, if you can, about the situation. A lot of stuff is reported. A lot of stuff that we hear is fake news, right? So, it's hard to get the truth. You, of course, being there, involved, General Flynn being your brother, I'm sure have inside information. Of course, we don't want you to ever reveal anything that would harm him or his case or anything like that, obviously. But can you tell us how things are going just from your perspective? It's stuff we don't hear in the news, please.
Sure. So we're in a waiting game right now, okay? Because everything's been in place. All motions, last motion that was put in, argument, whatever, has been put in by the government to dismiss. So everything Sydney has put in, the government has put in, everything is, Sullivan has everything. It's now in his hands, okay? So we are waiting and waiting for him to dismiss, okay? The three things can happen. He can put he can bring him right to sentencing, okay? He can bring him right to sentencing if he wants to. Without a case, he can do this, okay? Or he can dismiss with prejudice, or he can dismiss without prejudice. Okay, those are the three things that he could do. Okay, so right now Sydney has been out and about. You've seen her. She's been out on Lou Dobbs and a couple other shows and stuff talking. She's wonderful, and so we are really waiting for this man to make his decision, to decide what he's going to do, and then we will have to make our decision. Okay.
Right on. 563-999-3617. 563-999-3617. If you have a question for Mary Flynn-O'Neil or Kristen Hall, please call in here. This brings up a bigger point, Mary. I think that it's obvious, and your brother's case has made this glaringly apparent. The judicial system is way, way out of control. I mean, just so far out of control. I can't believe that we have, as patriotic Americans, which I think you and I and what I know about Kristen, certainly all three of us are. I can't believe that we let it get this bad. I can't believe we let it get this bad.
Well, we did. People. You gotta be a lawyer, right? You gotta know what the judicial system is about. And who wants to have a lawyer and who a lawyer? Good Lord. Most people are just law-abiding citizens, but family court and this court, my brother, that's exposed a lot of this, the corruption. But isn't it wonderful that the left knows how to go to the courts first, infiltrate the courts first? Because if they have control of those courts,
right,
then they have control of everything.
Yeah.
Really, your lives. I saw a tweet this morning that said, how many people are sitting in jail because they did nothing, but they didn't go the way the left wanted, or they didn't go, the way that community police officer or judge. Now, this judge that was on the family court, she's been removed. She was very bad. They found out how corrupt she was that was on this case with Kristen. Kristen has some good statistics and some law. She's in law school, and she's got some good stuff.
They need to be more than just removed, Mary. They need to be, if they've done this purposely, they need to be prosecuted. We have a call. We have a caller that's called in. Caller, I know you can hear this right now. Of course, the rules of the call-in show are you don't have to agree with any of the three of us, but just be respectful with your comments. And this is not a vulgar show, so no vulgarity, or I'll just kick you off right away. That being said, you're pretty much open to ask whatever you like. So let's bring the caller on here. Caller, thanks for joining us. You're live on the air. Please state your name and where you're calling from.
Thanks, James. My name is Natasha Tune. I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina.
Natasha from North Carolina. Thanks so much for calling in. Please go right ahead with your question.
I'd just like to thank Mary and Kristen for coming on today, and I wanted to ask them to extend my deepest gratitude to General Flynn for the sacrifice and service he's given this country. I am a military brat and born at Womack. My daughter is giving me a hard time. Born at Fort Bragg at the Womack Army Hospital. I'm sure Mary might be familiar with that place. I feel like I have a little bit of a connection, but I was interested in if once all this passes, I'm completely convinced we will make everything right with General Flynn again. And I was hoping and wondering if he'd be interested in pursuing public service after this.
So the question is, Mary and Kristen, does General Flynn, do you think he'd be interested in pursuing public service after all of this court stuff and all these shenanigans get cleared up?
Well, I can tell you this. He is not done. Okay? He's made that clear to in a tweet. And, as this process continued with him, I think that he was just so upset about his what they've done to him, with the son and his wife was the whole family was just so distraught, and this was unfolding, and we all had so much pain in our hearts and stuff, but then after a while it starts to turn when the truth comes out and all this stuff started coming out, then we have to get up and we have to fight. So Michael is never going to end right here. He's not going to let anything happen to this country. I'm telling you, he is not done with any service to this country, and anything that he can do. That's what Michael's about. He was born for this. Really,
Indeed.
God's prepared him and this family for this. So Michael is going to be in service. I mean, I don't know what he's going to do, but it's going to be. My sister and I said, just let him loose.
Yeah, right. Right. Well, caller, we do appreciate your phone call. We do appreciate your service. Can I ask you a question, caller, if you don't mind? From your perspective,
Absolutely.
from being former military, what's your thoughts on President Trump and his treatment of the military compared to, let's say, previous administrations from someone that's actually been in the service? What is your viewpoint on the contrast between the previous administrations and this administration in relation to the military?
James, I'll have to be honest. Although I've been a conservative most of my life, I was a little concerned when Trump announced he was running for presidency. I'd only known him in the sense of watching him through his shows and what's portrayed through the media. But I will say that watching him, how dedicated he is to the military, of making them whole again, of putting the VA back to where it needs to be, and really embracing our military is what has sold me on Trump. I don't believe we show our military enough appreciation, the sacrifice, not only that the service members do, but their families. It is the families serve as well.
That's
I'm
right.
sure both of you can attest to that. So that's actually why I'm such a huge Trump fan. And I must say that it's watching this saga unfold over the years, and watching and seeing the commitment of faith that the Flynn family has really drawn me closer to God. So thank you for that.
Oh, God bless you. It's so powerful to fall back on your faith. There's no way to go. We had to.
That's right.
And if that's how unity is going to happen in this country with Michael and all of us, we're in with you. We're 100%, 110%. My father used to say, "We love you."
I want you to know. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I wanted you to know we are with you. America is with the Flynn family. We are so. I can't even tell you the gratitude I feel for being willing to stick this out there. I mean, they've pulled out all the guns on you guys, and past administrations I'm disgusted with. Those are not patriots. I respect the service that they gave, but over the years I've seen this country being drawn away from God, and I'll be honest, it broke my heart about 8 years ago, realizing I wasn't sure where this country was going to go. And when Trump decided he was going to run, and then I saw General Flynn backing him, I knew who I was voting for. And over the years, I've only become a stronger advocate. In fact, I'm a poll watcher today, and I've never done that before. But this election is so important. I am with you guys, and America is with you guys, and we thank you so much.
Wow, caller. Thanks. That's a great call. Thanks so much, caller, for calling in. We
God
appreciate
bless.
it again. God bless you, and God bless your service. And thank you so much for calling in. And we do appreciate you. We do appreciate you very much. Thanks so much. Folks, if you want to call in, this is how easy it is. You can just dial 563-999-3617, 563-999-3617. We'll be happy to take your phone call. And, Kristen, let me ask you, how do I know you certainly are maybe not involved as much as your mom is, but it's got to make you feel proud, Kristen, hearing people say such great things about your uncle and your mom and your family. I mean, in this world, one of the few things that we actually leave with is our reputation, and we want to leave a good one behind because we have our children. We have children that have to walk in our shadows, right? I mean, that's the way I look at it. So, Kristen, how does that make you feel, hearing people call in and so much outpouring of love and support for your family and for your uncle specifically?
It's absolutely amazing, and it validates all of our missions that we've always done. And obviously, he, the woman called in and said, the patriot that called in and mentioned about being the family serving. It's very true. My uncle's military career as a general was my entire life. He went when I was born, 82, and my entire life, up until I was 33 years old, then he retired and started this, this on some 37 soon. And or I'm 37 now. 38 soon. So yeah, he, I always felt that he's one of I can't have a favorite uncle, but he's just because of what he lays down for us so I felt like I served, I felt like I had my cousins and they were always moving once every year sometimes to go and do all these great things. And they never complained. They never, and same thing, I wish I could have had more time with them, but all the times that we did have together are so phenomenal, so special. And every time I speak with my uncle, he's filled with knowledge and information and wisdom and experience and all that, and just incredible things that he can, he talks about. He's far from over. Mission is not completed. It's just begun, sort of thing. And no one better,
Oh yeah, I tell you, I for one certainly hopes that he moves back into public service again. Now, Mary, let me ask you. I know that your brother probably doesn't talk to you about these things because part of being a good intelligence man is being able to keep a secret. I mean, that's got to be a key of it. But you see now where it's coming out now that Joe Biden and his son and others in his family have enriched themselves with basically backroom under the table deals and tens of millions of dollars. Now we find out really what's basically happened is the Democrats have accused President Trump of exactly what they've done. They've just turned it around. Do you think, Mary, I mean, the country's collective breath is being held right now, wondering if any of these scoundrels, these absolute treasonous scoundrels, are going to be brought to justice? And as I stated, I know your brother probably doesn't tell you the intimate details, but what's your general sense from being sort of kind of close to what's going on? Do you think that these people are finally going to actually go down, Mary?
Well, I do, because I know the Lord, and I've had my own intercessions with my spirits and my Lord and my God, and I know that they will, because the truth always comes out, it always does, in the perfect timing. And so I just think that the corruption, one of the things that Michael and I spoke about when this first began was, and he was always amazed when he said it to me, because he is a guy that, says certain things that he doesn't, it was put to me one day, he's an encyclopedia. He's so filled with knowledge. He's also, we call him the spirit of truth, because he's the spirit of truth is what he is. But one of the things he used to say is, I don't know if this is ever going to get to the bottom of the corruption. It goes so deep. So the roots of this is just, right, we're surfacing with roots, like a cancer, right? So they've been penetrating our systems going back 10 years longer, 20 years, whatever you want to say, maybe the beginning of this country, when the English didn't really want this country to be a free country, kind of want control.
At least since the Federal Reserve was put in place in 1913, at least until the Federal Reserve was instituted, right? We can say for sure that.
That's right. And the Federal Reserve is a problem, right? It's a problem. So anyway, so I believe that the corruption's there are going to be, but I think what we need is to have Trump win, get these Democrats out of the House and get this nonsense out. He's going to need more time because this corruption is so deep. You really have to, these people project their own crimes. They've projected their own stuff, their own.
You're right. You're right.
Everything is a projection. It always is. It's what they've done it. What they say we've done, or these, Trump, everybody, Michael's done, is what they've done. So we're all seeing that. Thank God we're all seeing that. And it's starting to really get to people that don't pay attention to the media. Now it's really hitting them that, wow, they're really doing this stuff. They're saying they did it, but they really did it, So it will come about. I believe it's going to go right to the top. I believe that Obama's going to get it, and I believe Biden. So he's a national security risk right now. I got to bring this up. So you remember Sally Gates? I tweeted this morning. You remember she went to Congress or Senate, and she went and said Michael was a risk. He was going to be blackmailed by the Russians. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Okay. So look at Biden now with this news that has come out about his son with all this money in the China, Russia, Ukraine. So now the shoe is on the other foot. Okay. He is a national security risk. He could be blackmailed huge right now. So
yes.
really, that's amazing that's coming out. That is amazing, because there you go. Put the shoe on the other foot now, okay? And Michael did nothing wrong. Served his country for 33 years. And these people did that. And this is, God is amazing. It's amazing.
Oh, amen for that. God certainly is amazing. That's an understatement. 563-999-3617. 563-999-3617. If you have a question for Mary Flynn or Kristen or myself, Mary Flynn-O'Neil, Kristen or myself, just feel free to call right in. You have the Great Awakening shirt on, Mary. QAnon, as you know, where we go one, we go all, right? So they've taken a lot of QAnon things down. Now, last night, if you had a chance to watch the debate, I don't think sometimes these people don't think past their nose, because they asked President Trump about QAnon last night, and now millions of people that probably never even knew anything about QAnon are going, QAnon? What the heck is all that about? And now they're looking up QAnon and they're trying to find out what's going on. They're seeing all these drops. And, here's the thing. There was a good point was made this morning. And Kristen, certainly you can comment on this as well. But so they're against QAnon, who goes against child traffickers and pedophiles. And the mainstream media is like, well, they're bad. And that's all they really want to do, is they want to stop all this pedophilia and this child trafficking. But QAnon's bad. Mary, I'll ask you about that, and then Kristen. I'm assuming, Kristen, you're familiar with the QAnon thing. I don't want to assume, but one would think you might. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going to go
very much for years now.
Oh, yep. For years. Wonderful. Excellent. It's going to be a good answer. Mary, we'll go to you, and then we'll go over to Kristen, please.
Well, QAnon. I mean, how about how Trump's debate? She brought that up. I mean, how foolish are these people? So she brought that up, and look at it, backfired in her face. I mean, that these people had these certain topics they were going to hit him with, which are ridiculous.
Yep.
And they make themselves look so foolish, and it all backfires. Everything that comes out of their mouth, every strategy that they have is done. Okay, it will go back and go and smash them in the face, because it is backfiring. Okay, QAnon is a wonderful. I mean, QAnon. I follow QAnon. I mean, it's about patriotism. It's about guidance with people and the Lord. I mean, we all need these guidances from people and groups that are good groups today. We have to unify with this.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Kristen, I mean, what's your thoughts about them mentioning QAnon last night? And they've been going after QAnon, and there are people that are. I mean, people have to understand, and I think you ladies probably do. The majority of the people in America, they have no idea. Like, they're not red-pilled at all. They're like mainstream people. They just don't. They can't believe that anything like this would. What, a president would do something like that? What? I mean, what do you? I mean, do you see, Kristen, how like your mom said, how this has potential to backfire on these knuckleheads that are bringing up QAnon? I mean, there's so many posts. QAnon, I think, posted all the posts with all the QAnon headlines in it. Normally, people wouldn't even know what was going on. They would never even look into it. But now, with all these news articles, it's becoming bigger than ever. Kristen, what say you about that?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. That is the great thing about the internet right now, and all the, the social media and all the way we can contact with each other, because I can't understand, first of all, the ignorance and maybe even guilt of some people on that side, the left, or, where they don't see it's important. This is one of the most important things ever. And what they stand for, the sex rings and all that stuff. I mean, it is rampant in our country, in Mexico, in the Philippines, in everywhere, sort of, all over the world, but it's really, really, really bad. And I mean, 1 in 7 of the people are children victims. It's are sexually exploited, rather, victims of all of everyone throughout the world. 1 in 7 are, and the statistics are a lot worse. We have hundreds of thousands of children right now that are MIA from the foster system, and it's just very, very disheartening to see all that happen. So I believe it's ignorance, and I believe that it's maybe some form of guilt, or just not. It's just so gross. It's almost, for ignorant people, it'd be like unbelievable for them to even understand, but it's real, and it's so bad, and we can do something about it, and that's the plan. So
we had someone send a question in when they found out you were going to be on. I thought they might call in. It's someone. It's Dr. Tammy. I don't know if you know Dr. Tammy. I think that she asked. She wanted to know what would be the three. If you had to describe General Flynn in three, in three descriptions, in three terms, how would you describe your brother General Flynn? If you had to give 3 words to describe him, how would you describe him? That was her question.
Loyalty, truth, and honorable. I got another one. He's awful handsome. All my brothers are awful handsome. They're all handsome. I had that one in.
Well, it's better to, what was that, the old commercial? It's better to look good than to feel good. It wasn't that the old commercial?
Great face. He's got a great smile. He's got a great sense of humor. I mean,
it's interesting that you mentioned that because I think President Trump even blushed last night. If you saw the thing when the woman said, "You have such a great smile. You're so handsome when you smile." I don't think Trump expected that. I think he was a little bit taken back by that, just a little bit. My wife and I watched it, and I think he was a little bit, because nobody says nice things about the guy. They're always cutting him down and insulting him.
Well, they're humble too. Okay, so that's another word. I mean, because God wants us to be humble. So these two men are very humble men. They really are. They really are. People think, Trump is, he's so, nasty, arrogant, whatever they say, but he's really a humble man. He's a very humble man. He loves his children. He loves his country. Michael loves his children, loves his family and the country. They're humble. They're humble. They'll get in, they'll go, on the streets and talk to people. Whatever they'll do, they'll go fight in a war. Michael will be right with his soldiers he wants to be with his soldiers, so they're humble men, and we need more of that. These humble men are great. They're very, it's wonderful to see a humble man. It really is.
Well, I'll take it one step further. We need less males and more men, right? There's a lot of males, but there's not a lot of men. That's the problem. Because if the men in this country would stand up and be men, there would be no CPS kidnapping. There would be no spousal abuse where people are beat down. There would be no child trafficking and child sexual abuse. If men would stand up and be men, it would all go away overnight. Kristen, you had something to say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I say that quite often, and I sometimes use father as a word or something like that, but it doesn't always have to deal with, the children. It's very, very sad. Definitely. There's a big lack of honest gentlemen, nice people, like that. And maybe it's definitely, but we definitely can fix everything. It's not gone. It's attainable,
No, it is. And it's so easy to do. It's, folks, and I've said this before, if you're waiting for headquarters, if you're waiting for President Trump to give you a personal call on your phone or send a tweet out to you, don't keep waiting for that. Look in the mirror, and that's the person. That's the person right there that needs to act. Don't wait for headquarters to call you up. You are the guy. You're the person or the gal. You are the person that needs to do it. Don't wait for someone else. I don't know how much I can get that across to people. And I try to tell people also, Mary and Kristen, we can no longer in this country, as we move forward and we clear all these things up, we have to get away from the mentality of letting somebody else be guardians of our liberty. Because as we can see, they always fail. No one will ever guard your liberties as vociferously as you will. And we all need to take a personal responsibility on that moving forward. Mary, do you have a comment on that, Mary?
Well, I do, and one of the things when you were talking, I was thinking about generation, the kids, So this movement of Great Awakening and the Q and President Trump and Michael Digital Soldiers. So I think what I love, and I see these little kids, we're bringing back that patriotism into their lives again, which makes them gentlemen and makes them, good, humble.
Yeah, men. Respect their elders, polite, respect, thank you, please, that type of stuff.
Right, and that makes me happy because that is a really, really big thing, that all these things that are going on right now, this, people coming in, is the generations to come. We need that back in their lives. They need that, and they need God back in their lives. They need They need God back in
Amen.
their
You're
lives.
right. Everybody does. This nation needs God back in our lives. This nation.
Huge. Oh,
I
they're
mean,
not taking that away from us. That's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
no.
You know?
And despite the fact, of course, there's a dispute where is December 25th Christ's actual birthday and everything. Okay, we can argue about that another time. But the fact that Donald Trump has so strongly said, no, we're going to be saying Merry Christmas. We're not going to say Happy Holidays. We're going to say Merry Christmas. More people are saying Merry Christmas now since Trump's been president, because everybody is politically correct. You can't really say that because that insults people.
Just like I won't take a vaccine. I will never say Happy Holidays. It's Merry Christmas to me because I love Christ.
That's right. That's right. You're right. Well, ladies, we're just coming here towards the end of the show. Let me make sure we don't have any callers coming in here. We want to get you ladies back on again to talk about your case. And, we're always delighted to highlight the wonderful Flynn family and all the, the great sacrifice that your families have made. And, Mary, and of course you too, Kristen, are always welcome back here on the show. I'm going to give you both opportunity to have a last word in. Kristen will go over to you and give you an opportunity to say anything that you wanted to say, or is maybe any questions I didn't get a chance to ask you during the interview. We're going to turn it over to you and give you a chance to wrap it up on your side.
Thank you. I want to say definitely to everyone, thank you for, listening. And again, God bless and stay strong. This is definitely a fight we can win, and we will do so. And I also just wanted to say some points really quick on how people can protect their children. It's very brief, from sexual trafficking and all that.
Sure, of course. That's very important stuff. Please give that out. Excellent.
Thank you. We want to set a very high standard of love within the household. Obviously, it's sort of goes without saying, but we, very high for the children. We want to talk to the children about sexual abuse. We want to talk to the children, and in our own ways, depending on the ages. We want to talk to them about sexual trafficking, also the dangers of social media, and to very closely pay attention to the children and little signs they see. Most importantly, and I think so with my family and everyone, because your faith is everything, and is to invite the children into some way, because there's things all over the place for people, to invite them in to come with the family to go and pray with people that have been enslaved and before prior to, or children, or whatever's appropriate, so it's not like that kind of stuff, and work with them, and so they can see sort of firsthand how real it is, and it happens to anyone, or like that stuff. So that was what I would like to just throw in.
That reminds me.
Thank you so much, James.
Kristen,
wonderful.
Kristen, thank you so much for being here. And your story reminds me, when I was a younger man, I did some work down at in Detroit, because my uncle was he was a director of the healthcare for the homeless down there. So I would go down there and do volunteer work down there in Detroit down there. And I tell you one thing, nothing made me appreciate my life more than working with that indigent population and people that live on the streets and the homeless. So, what you say, your words do have wisdom. There's no doubt about that. Important. Very important indeed. Kristen, we thank you so much for being here. Mary, is there anything you'd like to say? Well, thank you. Mary, anything you'd like to say in closing?
I just want to say that I just want to say a little prayer, okay?
Sure, of course. Could you move a little bit closer so everybody can hear your prayer? Thanks, honey.
I want to say a prayer. I want to say, dear Lord, Almighty and ever-living Lord, in us, we pray for this nation. We pray for peace in this world, peace in our families. We pray for justice to be served to these people that have harmed our country, harmed our people. And I pray that you always stay near and guide us with your Holy Spirit, and in Jesus' name, amen. I just love you all, and thank you so much for everything, James, and for your support, all you patriots out there. God bless you. Okay?
Well, I'll tell you, something, Mary, if we don't hang together, we will most certainly all hang separately. That's for sure. So we're all in this together. I just thank you so much, both of you, Mary and Kristen, for coming on the broadcast today. And again, we appreciate your family and all that they've done, and God bless you both. And we'll hopefully have you on here maybe before the Christmas season. We'll have you on here one more time. So thanks again so much. God bless both of you.
You'll have good news.
Thank you. Yeah, we hope we have great news. Thank you so much. Okay. There goes Mary Flynn and Kristen. And we certainly appreciate them being on the broadcast. What a great family the Flynns are. I can't say enough great things about them and about the sacrifice that they've made, as a family. I mean, do you imagine just how taxing it is on the rest of the family, having your brother being I mean, he was supposed to be going to prison at some point. They were talking about putting him in jail. I mean, and this is just besmirching his family name, taking away his freedom and his liberty on what? All on a lie, all on a deep state, dark hat lie. So we need to pray for these. We need to pray for the Flynn family. We need to pray for us all, folks. We need to pray for us all. We need to pray for this nation, pray for our president, certainly. And please pray for this broadcast. We so much appreciate the support, and we hope you continue to follow us. Monday morning, we're kicking off the brand new show, Montana Gazette Radio. So please check that out, and we'll be moving away from Northwest Liberty News completely and going all the way to Critical Disclosure. I'll only be doing Northwest Liberty News broadcasts periodically on certain topics. I'll still be on every day, but I just won't be doing Northwest Liberty News specifically. But I do appreciate all your support. Northwest Liberty News is not going anywhere. Again, it's just being named differently for obvious reasons. So we so much appreciate you joining us here today. God bless the Flynn family, and we so much appreciate Mary Flynn and Kristen being on the broadcast today. Until next time, this is James White. Have a great weekend. I'll be back tomorrow with Pam Olson. So that'd be a great show. Pam Olson tomorrow, 11 o'clock. If you haven't seen the previous shows of Pam Olson, they're just dynamite. And I think Connie Regularly is going to be coming back on Sunday. So we'll see you this weekend. Until then, it's James White from Northwest Liberty News saying bye now.